time with regards to the subject matter of the agenda. My name is Abiodun Famuchura. This is the Democracy Day special edition. Democracy Day has multiple meanings to multiple individuals. It is the 12th day of June, the year 2021. Once upon a time, our Democracy Day was May 29. But now, by the legislation of the National Assembly and the promulgation of the President, we now have a new Democracy Day. Some persons were born into the democratic system. They did not know what it was like for us not to have a democratic institution. I will not be alone in this discourse. I will be joined by 7 young individuals who will be speaking for themselves. And this will go to the meat of our conversation in today's program. Please take note. I have with me Femi Oyewumi. You are very much welcome.
Thank you for having
me. To this wonderful conversation. And with him is Olumide Ibukunle.
Glad to be here.
Olumide Ibukunle joining us for the first time on the Agendas platform. He's a financial analyst and he's speaking fundamentally in his own personal capacity. I'm not going to make reference to where he works. I know you can go with that. But now, let's go into the subject matter of today. June 12, 2021. It has been 22 years of a sustained democratic experience. I am not going to make reference to whether it has been fantastic or not, because I leave that conversation engagement to the members of this team. Femi, 22 years of democratic experience. Good, bad, interesting. What is your summation?
I will take it interesting because has been good and bad. But let me start by saying that, do we have the right to celebrate what June 12 stands for?
The Democracy Day?
Yes, the Democracy Day itself. There's nothing to celebrate, particularly if you look at it in the view of our leaders. Everything June 12 stands for, they have defaulted in that. If you look at the history about June 12, we have more than 40 million people who were fully engaged and voted in that election. What we stand for, what June 12 stands for, was the people who were not bothered about their religion, that wanted a good governance and look at a candidate and decided to vote for that particular candidate.
Are you saying in absolute sense that there is nothing to celebrate regarding our democratic
system? The truth
system?
is, from our leader, there is nothing to celebrate. If you look at the current issues we are going through right now, is everything that speaks against what is democracy.
Issues we are going through.
Yes.
Let's talk about issues. Democracy Day. First thing first, what's your take? Something to celebrate or not?
Well, I stand the risk of taking a position on this, right? You asked if it was the good, the bad, or interesting. I'll say the bad. And there's a reason I said that. When a people get into a democracy, they are doing that in the hope that they will enjoy the dividends of that democracy. When you elect officials to represent you, when you elect people to represent you, it is the hope that they take your interests and decide to run with those interests. The question Nigerians have to ask themselves is, have they enjoyed the dividends of a democracy? Between 1999 and 2021, have they enjoyed the dividends?
Some people will argue that we are enjoying the dividends of democracy. Let me explain that to you,
right?
Because I need you to be able to report this. You've used the word dividend.
Right.
Please note that. That is a financial term in company management. So let us take Nigeria as a company. What are the benefits we've enjoyed? Some persons will make reference to telecommunication. Some persons will make reference to companies, multinationals, that have situated their offices in Nigeria. Microsoft, Google, you can mention quite a few. There is something must have given. The dividends, once upon a time, dividends of democracy used to be a language.
Right.
I don't hear it much. When you say dividend, what exactly are you referring to here? Nigeria as a company.
I'll speak from my perspective as a financial person.
Yes.
You think about companies, when companies do business, you expect that they make revenues, they expend on costs,
yes,
they break even first, and then they make a profit. It is from the profit that they're able to pay dividends. A company that does not make profit does not pay dividends. And that is, if you ask me, my personal experience as a Nigerian in this democracy. Nigeria is not paying any dividends because we are even yet to break even. Look at all the economic variables, all the economic statistics, and then you realize that it's even much more. Right now, as a Nigerian, I think it will be easier and safer for me to live in Pakistan or live in Syria, a former ISIS stronghold, than live in Nigeria.
You will,
After 21 years of
gentlemen, pardon me. You're making the scenario of democracy Day look like the glass is half empty. You're talking about Nigeria not being sustainable or viable because if an organization is not able to declare dividends and is not making profit, it's just a matter of time to go bankrupt.
Yes, we are already there.
We're already approaching it.
Yes.
The foundation of every democratic institution is the Constitution. We have the Constitution. Is it not working for us?
Do you want me to respond to that?
Please go ahead, Mr. Yomi.
You know, when you look at the Constitution, 1999 Constitution,
yes.
It was just a copy and paste Constitution from the previous military regime that we have. And we all know at the issue there is a problem with that 1999
That problem is being addressed, Mr. Yomi. Right now, constitutional amendment review is ongoing.
So when you look at, I used to say this to everyone who cares to hear from me, that you can't put the restructuring of this constitution in the hands of those who are not responsible. So when you look at the current constitution that benefits an average politician, and you want them to go and amend the constitution, and you are giving it to them to amend that constitution, it's more way to look into that system and see how they can be relevant in that system. If you really want to, we want to go into restructuring of this constitution, you need to go back to where the voices of people can be heard. Coming into a larger group, you can't go to amend the constitution when you don't even know what people are agitating for. What are the representation of the people in the sitting of that amendment?
You're talking about the disconnect between the leadership and the left.
Exactly.
We have had several opportunities to actually have the voice of the people reflect in the Constitution. The 2014 National Conference was one opportunity. Did we take it? And the point is usually
that's a rhetorical question. Do you think we took it?
No, we did not take it. Apparently, we did not take it. Because if we took it and implemented some of the recommendations of that conference, then we would probably we would be further along than we currently are. Right? We have a constitution that says federal character is something that you should do as a country.
Yes.
And 21 years down the line in democracy, we don't have anything. I mean, there's substance over form, right? There's form, there's substance.
Yes.
The form is that we have federal character, but the substance is that there is no such thing as federal character.
So are you saying, look, we're going to come back to federal character, but Mr. Ekene, are you saying that the constitutional amendment sessions that are ongoing right now is not going to give us a desired constitution?
The reality is, like I said, we had an opportunity. It was not like we did not debate. We had conversation. We brought up issues, but were those recommendations? And I think that's a primary challenge with Nigerian society. We have a lot of rhetoric. We talk a lot. We debate a lot. We're having a conversation now. We will have several more conversations.
But the intention of our conversation
is progress.
Yes, and to generate substantial results. That is why we're engaging in this. That is why we have the agenda. That is why we're giving the young people of this nation, wherever you are, a platform for expression, for change in the practical sense of it. Mr. Ekene, I'm going to come back to you, but before that, let me take something you said, Mr. Ekene. And you said, regarding the political elite of the nation, you were talking about the fact that the present constitution benefits them. Are you saying that we do not have a political will to change the constitution as it presently is?
If I have opportunity, I'm speaking as a typical Nigerian, I have opportunity of something that can make me pull all the funds, the public funds, the national cake as you call it, into my pocket. Why will I request for a change? There's no motivation to change anything. If I have opportunity of no one questioning me, where there is no accountability in what we are doing. For example, if you look at the constitution, allows the House of Rep to go fight and play dirty in getting contracts, in getting our infrastructures into play. When you have such a constitution that allows me to play that, I have an advantage over the man who is competent enough to go and do that project. So now if you are asking me to sit back to say we want to change, that is a drastic change. Do you think I'm going to have any will to take that off the table in the constitution? This is what I'm saying. We need to engage the people when you want to amend this 1999 constitution. In fact, someone has said before, and I agree with him, we need to abandon 1999 constitution and come up with a new constitution that reflects the will of the people. What is democracy?
Are you not recommending another constitutional conference?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because when they said that there was an opportunity before
In 2014.
there was no political will or any will to actually implement.
Because the recommendations are still there.
Now, if you look at the current state where we are, Nigeria is not safe again. So you can see that there's a lot of pressure for the government to say they are sitting down to just have a share talk. What I'm asking for is that the people's will must be reflected in the amendment that is ongoing now, if you really want to see any change.
The will of the people.
Yes.
Mr. Gokule, you were going to say something.
I was going to add to what he said about the ruling class benefiting majorly from the constitution as it currently is structured. Right? The ruling class did not only have access to things, they are also immune. They have that immunity clause enshrined in the constitution that says
That immunity clause is applicable to the president and the vice.
Right, as far as I am I'm in office, I'm not, no one can charge me, no one can arrest me, no one can,
governors have it,
the governors have it, their deputies have it as well. So the constitution as it currently is, as he said, is largely beneficial to them. There have been several other attempts to take bits and bits of the constitution. For instance, in finance, there's the Investment and Securities Act, there's the Companies and Allied Matters Act, there's a Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, Act. There's so many other acts here and there that have been carved out, and especially dealt with, and some of the challenges that we've seen with the previous ones dealt with. If we are not able to address the entire constitution, can we not take that approach as well? Milestones. Let's look at milestones. Today we focus on human rights. Tomorrow we focus on the penal code. Another time we focus on federal character as it is. And yet another time we focus on how do we distribute revenues that are made in the country.
Distribution of wealth.
Yes.
I'm going to come back to that. Wherever you are joining us, all over the world, watching this production, my name still remains Abiodun Famujo. We're going to take a short break. When we return, wealth distribution. The poor getting poorer, the rich getting richer. Where are you, Nigeria? And where are the Nigerians whose life have appreciated in the last 6 years? Join us again. Thank you very much for joining us once again. It is still the agenda. My name is Abiodun Famujo. I'm here with some distinguished gentlemen, Olumide Gokule and Femi Oyewumi. And we've been talking about Democracy Day. Is there something to celebrate? Are we celebrating the good, the bad, or the interesting? The conversation has been intense. Back to the subject matter of distribution of wealth. Internal generated revenue. We have 36 states. We have the federal at the center. If wealth is not being distributed, who is to blame? Some states are more viable. Yes, I'm going to start with you.
Perhaps I should say if wealth is not being distributed equitably. Right.
Why do you say that?
We have regions of this country. We all know, I don't have to state it. We have regions of this country that make all of the money. And some other regions that spend all of the money.
We have a region that makes money and a region that spends
the money.
That's
we charge VAT on everything, on goods and services.
Yes.
There is a region that does not allow you to sell certain items, alcohol,
tobacco
products.
So much.
They generate nothing on that end. But
Well,
other aspects, other parts of the country make money from tobacco, make money from beer and all those things, right? VAT is charged, and when VAT is to be distributed, it's distributed across the country. Why have they not been excused?
From
Distribution of VAT that arises from those items.
Okay.
Why? I'm getting somewhere. There's a region in this country that produces pretty much all of the oil that the base of this economy is on. Yes, you distribute that revenue every month, everyone goes to the FAN to the fact meetings. That money is distributed. You give them an additional amount, you call it derivation, 13%. And that's where it all ends. Meanwhile, there's some regions in this country that are almost not productive at all.
Almost.
Without those FAC allocations, those states are going down. They do absolutely nothing.
Let me take you up from that last conversation. Are you making reference to the fact that some states within the Federal Republic of Nigeria are not viable?
That's the point I'm making.
But you do understand that there are agitations for more states.
That is so. Before we get into the conversation about agitation for more states,
Yes,
right?
more states.
I think we need to address the issue of wealth creation and wealth distribution first. If we create more states, what happens? We all still go back to the FAC meetings, distribute money amongst ourselves, and everyone goes back. Zero incentive to go back, think, do business, and be viable as a state.
There's a root cause. I have to interrupt you there. There's a root cause. The constitution we presently have encourages the system to operate.
Right.
The incentive is from the constitution.
And that is why we said the first step in this conversation is a constitutional amendment, a total overhaul of what we currently call a constitution. It is not a constitution that we should live and work with as a nation in 2021.
Yeah.
And what democratic practice are you recommending that we engage in? Because from 1957, the constitution we had before we became a republic, became a nation, which some people have adjudged to be the best constitution that we had, based on the fact that it was engaging, it was involving, we had our voices heard, which took us to the parliamentary system of government. That's another dynamic. The constitution talks about the federal system of government that is massively expensive and wasteful,
Right.
at least for us in Nigeria. If we're going to deal with the constitution, and we need to sign off on this constitutional matter, because everything comes back to that foundation. If the foundation is wrong, nothing you build on it will stand.
Absolutely. I agree. You know when you look at the true federalism, of the production, we've had conversation around having a true federalism. If you look at the nations that federalism is working, take example the USA. There are some of those sacrifices that happens in those states that makes the true federalism work. Unlike when Nigeria is cherry picking what to do with their own federalism. Take an example. When you talk about state autonomy, where in addendum to what Olumide is saying, where you have a responsibility and certain things you need to get done in your state that will make a state, be independent of going every month to get its own cake. Do you understand? So if you look at the state, if you look at state policing today, we are talking about insecurity. Is it true that we don't have enough young people that can protect a particular state? Take Lagos State for an example. We have people, more than 33% of the youth, qualified graduates that are out of employment. Are you saying that we don't have enough people to put in security? The question is the governor good enough to be able to, to pay the salary? Let me share my experience with you. When I was serving in the year 2009, I did a community project. I was in one particular community in Ikorodu, and I saw where the children were traveling from one particular village all the way to a mini town where they are going to school. I mean, you have to trek about an hour to get to that place. With a terrible road, I decided to build a school. I partnered with Dangote at that time. In Ikorodu, there is a Dangote refinery in Ikorodu, sugar refinery there. I partnered with them and built the school. I engaged, I don't want to mention the name of the rep at that time. I engaged one of the leaders in that place. Do you know what the local leader told me. He said, who is going to be paying the salary? Now that I've gone to build a school, who will be responsible for paying the salary? You can see how deteriorating the system has become. The people we have charged with governance, people we have charged to take over, to be more responsible, they are not ready to do any work, so to say. So when you say you have a democracy that represents the interest of people, that's not what we are practicing. We have people who are there for their self-interest. And anytime you find a nation as an organization you are put into it, if it has nothing contributing to the central point, then it should stop existing. We should not be talking about creating more states. We should be talking about how to make the states that we are workable, viable, profitable. At that point in time, I mean, it's so annoying to know that you are not contributing, you are not allowing business to grow, ease of doing business to happen in your state, but you are getting the dividends of what is being collected from other states in your state.
There is something instructive that you spoke about with regards to the representatives of the people. All right, we're going to talk about the economy, but before certain things that are standing out in Nigeria as we presently have it, we're experiencing a gravitational position of insecurity like we have never experienced before. Absolutely. Only akin to the time before the Civil War. Now, please note, we are not advocating any form of violence or tribal clashes or communal advancement of clashes. No, that is not the reason for this conversation. But the gravity of insecurity is appalling concerning the nation. We know that those who have been tasked with this responsibility are doing their very best, but more needs to be done. Let's talk about this democratic representation. A number of young people were born into a democratic system. A number of them are 22 years old, 21. They have never experienced the military rule, so they do not know when we talk about agitations for the military to go. They do not know. When you mention certain leaders, they have no clue. If I were to ask some people, and I've asked, a number of young people do not have voters card. A number of people do not know who their elected representatives or their selected representatives are presently. If you are politically naive, economically disadvantaged, and emotionally humbled, of what relevance will you be to an organization or a nation? I need to ask you both that question. The representative of the democratic system we have, we need an overhaul. What must be done? Because some persons are talking about, and I need to say this before we move on, the agitations for great governance will not take place exclusively on social media.
Absolutely.
What must be done? I start with you, Olumide, I come to you, Femi.
You said something about political naivety, right?
Yes.
Young people, as well, because they have not experienced military rule, all they've been exposed to their entire lives has been democratic dispensation.
Yes.
That's what they've been. That's what they've been brought into, right? So you make a very valid point when you say a challenge is political naivety, and that's why you have young people in this age and time who do not have voters cards, right? But beyond political naivety, I'd also say that there is political fatigue.
Political fatigue.
Why? Why is there political fatigue? Time and time again, every 4 years, we go to the polls to elect our representative. What happens eventually? We find out that the people we elect are not the people we get. We get people foisted on us. And so you have an entire generation of people who are, well, who do not just choose to be naive, who do not choose to be naive. We have a generation of people who have become fatigued, who have become disillusioned with the system and believe that it would not work regardless of what their efforts are.
If that is the case,
I think that is where we need to start.
Those who are politically fatigued, are not the born Democrats.
Right.
The born Democrats have been there for 22 years. I mean, at the first election, they were 4 years old. They became eligible to vote just 4 years ago.
Yes.
True.
And that's why I have a different opinion.
So they are not fatigued.
True. This is true. But they've also grown over time to see what happens. They have people who are being through the system, who have told them this is what happens every time. We go to the polls, we vote for this person, we see someone else. We get someone else foisted on us. I'm getting somewhere with this. In 20 I mean, in 2020, just last year, America went to the polls, right? And they had a generation of who maybe had never voted their entire lives all come out.
Yes.
These were the, so to speak, born Democrats. If they were extrapolated into the Nigerian society,
Yes.
these were born Democrats. They believed that they had the power to change the system. They believed they had the power to change who was in power. Was why they came out and voted. Can the same be said for Nigeria? If we've had in 2019, we had all sorts of people. Aside the regular old guard that we usually have, we had people come out, canvassing for votes. We had younger people, more intellectual, much more exposed people, the likes of Fela Joto, the likes of Kingsley Moghalu, and all of these people came out, to contest. We had young people rally behind them, at least the ones who knew what they wanted, rally behind them. What happened eventually?
So I have a different perspective to that because I was actively involved. When you want to make a change, you have to be strategic, you have to be operational, you have to understand the system that works. So when he's talking about this set of people that we're talking about, I mean, it's not enough to say that they've heard from those who are fatigued and then they shy away from the process in itself. Participation, largely, people are uneducated about governance participation, and that is the problem of these new millennials. You see people talk a lot. I mean, you can see the presence online on social media, how they go about talk about this. It means that they are really interested in what is happening.
Right.
But are they ready to participate in the actual system? One of the things you can win in the argument is the fact that if you look at the process, let me give you an example. If you want to obtain your ATM card, it takes about 48. In fact, some banks will give you instant results.
Yes.
But when you want to register for a voter's card, it takes an average of 2 years to even find anything to use to go to the poll. These are part of the fundamental things that we need to start educating our people. If you need pressure groups, you need civil society groups to be involved. We need to shout over this thing. Why can't you get your voter's card on the same day you are registering it? That's number one.
So that means that the Independent National Electoral Committee needs to be
on their games. Exactly. What role are we supposed to play as the young set of people? There are two categories I've placed them. There are the educated ones among the new millennials, and we have a bunch of the ones who are uneducated. What's the responsibility of the educated ones? We need to try as much as possible to engage those people. I've said it before, you don't need to go to federal on this, you don't need to go to state on this. In your local community, you need to find your sphere of influence and educate them the reason why we cannot afford to have a military government. Because they don't know the story, they don't have the history, they don't know the implication. So they need to engage them to know this is your way. You are asking me if we believe we can change those in power. I absolutely believe so, because I'm spending the last decade on this. We can change the government if the people in this case can participate in the election.
Yes.
But before you do that, okay, I'm going to do a short moment because we're going to be going to another short break. So try not to forget what you were about to say. Because we're going to start from you. Mr. Young, I need to say something very interesting. The Nigerian out there looking at us, listening to us, he's saying to me, and I can hear you, I am hungry. I am tired. Inflation has affected my financials. Foodstuffs in the market, what I take to the market cannot buy food. So you are telling me to go and queue to vote? He that is hungry can easily be manipulated. We're going to continue this conversation. I still remain Abiodun Famujuro. It is the agenda, the Democracy Day edition. Stay with us. back once again. It is still the agenda, the Democracy Day edition. My name is Abiodun Famutro. I spoke about the subject matter, the man that is hungry can easily be manipulated. But Olumide, you're about to say something very emphatic before we went for the short break.
Right. I stand the risk of sounding very pessimistic. Unfortunately, it appears that that's what the Nigerian society does. Right. You said something about participation. While I do not rule out the validity of that, what I was about to make was that does it appear that the Nigerian system as it currently is rigged? Everything is rigged against young people.
Everything?
I think that's invaluable. And there's I have
An answer.
I have well, maybe not an answer, but maybe something to put that in context. I want to register to. Why does it have to take 2 years? I remember my experience at the last election before I got my permanent voter's card. You know how many hours you have to queue under the sun. After going through all of those processes, you still have to. You literally have to take days off work to ensure that you get it. And so the point is it that we do not want to participate? I do not think that is the challenge. I don't think the challenge is that we don't want to participate or we intentionally choose to be naive. It is because, to a very large extent, a lot of the systems are ready. And my answer to that, right, is because at this point, rather than discussing the problems, we should actually be chatting the way forward, right, is that we know the body is responsible for some of these things. And we need to put the pressure on them from the get-go. An election has just ended in 2019. That's gone. There will be an election in 2023. Hopefully, there will be an election in 2023. When it happens, immediately we need to get INEC to begin to register voters again. And this is not the case of register them and let's go through the same entire process again of registering in 2023 and getting my voters card in 2025. No. This is the part where everyone needs to begin to put pressure on their local representatives. It seems that a lot of Nigerians have actually forgotten that they have representatives at the grassroots who they can pressure. You can make all the noise that you want to make. You will not get to the president. There are local representatives that we have at the state houses of assembly, at the Senate, at the National House of Representatives. We have these people there. We can put that pressure on them. They come back to their constituencies occasionally. Form groups of people. Let's go and have conversations with them. This is what we want. INEC is not waiting till 2025 to begin registering voters, where we know we have an election in 2027. They begin now. The election has just ended. They begin now. And this is 2023. Technology has moved beyond you register and wait 2 years. Why are we not leveraging technology to ensure that people register to vote and immediately have that right, have what it takes to vote?
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, Mr. Mukule, is that the institutions of governance, the institutions of electioneering need to step up.
We need to hold them to account. We need to
In holding them to accountable, we must provide solutions to them.
Right.
Technology, for example, many countries of the world, developed nations of the world, they do not shut down. They don't shut down when they are voting.
When they are voting, because they can do
We
mail-in
declare
ballots.
publicly when we want to vote.
They can do mail-in ballots.
Correct. And people can start voting earlier. Mr. Ayomi.
So when you talk about, I like the fact that you mentioned hungry. If you look at the situation of the country currently, the first person that has, informally informed us about 2023 is from the same old generation, because they know what they are doing. That hunger you mentioned is one of their strategies.
It's a weapon.
Yes, to get the people. What I'm still saying is that the same hungry man, young hungry person who does not have a job, who is very vulnerable, needs to channel that energy. It's a negative emotion, but he needs to channel it positively by engaging, starting from his own community.
Mr. Yomi, you talk about young people engaging social media. There is a reality program in Nigeria that has swept the nation by storm, where young people believe that they can access fame and power.
And they have
Last year, the voting on those platforms were massive. Auditions are going on right now. The number of people that want to make it into that reality program is massive. Where are the young people that are talking on social media?
So again,
where are they in the reality for electioneering matters?
So again, if you look at it, The value system of each and every one of these young people really matters. When you talk about the reality shows, there is a form of compensation they get from all of this. And that's why someone will pick his phone and pay 13 naira for each vote. Can anyone pay 10 naira to vote anyone into office?
No.
From this same generation. It means that there's something wrong with our value system, which we need to do a lot from our own. See, a Chinese man will not come to Nigeria to change Nigeria. We need a Nigerian. Like this platform you are putting me on, I'm so excited to come because I know I have an opportunity to inspire one person who can do the same thing I'm doing in my community. What am I doing differently? I go to these guys to let them know that you have no place to go. By the grace of God, I've traveled to other countries of the nation, but I knew I'm a second citizen in those places. Even right from my colors. I am being checked twice because I'm a black person in a white community. And I want them to know that in Nigeria, you have that freedom of expression. I'm inspiring the people in my community. Do you know, it's not a skyrocket or a rocket science in changing all of these things. You just need the right set of people that you can talk to in your community in bits. And then let me let you know that in terms of participation, it may not happen in 2023. It's a process because you are dealing with people in power for more than 14 years.
Are you saying, Mr. Yomi, that as at 2021, we are late for change for 2023?
We are late already. We are late. I don't see anything drastically changing in 2023. I know there is uprise, there is a lot of agitation right now. But the truth is that if Nigeria doesn't break, I don't see that happening. I don't see that split happening. We are still going to have the same old system that is going to take power in 2023.
That is a fatalistic, pessimistic position. You are talking about the young people rising up and they are watching us.
This is what I'm saying.
If you tell me, young man, nothing can happen, 2023 is concluded, then why should I get bothered about
I'm saying that if they continue in this same value system, remember I was talking about the value system. If we sit back and keep complaining,
so it means that our campaign should be wake
right
up,
now,
rise up, and take
the
action.
only person I've seen one young person who was out in 2019 and he's saying he's going out. I'm already looking out for him because that's one person who has a true agenda. You don't wait 6 months into the election and start planning your strategy to win an election.
So
Exactly. So in each of our community, we need to identify those who exactly. Full participation is going to get us. You are talking about the constitution. What the constitution, that constitution says that you must be elected in the office to make any change. If you don't go back to correct how to gain entrance into that, there's no way you can assume power. So I still go back to my strong point saying that we must educate our people. How people can get power in this nation is through that same election. Whether you are going to stand in the sun. Do you know the last election? The old woman I met, 70 years old, I asked her, Mama, what are you still waiting for after you have voted? She told me, he said, I was told that I must wait to see that vote counts. If we have young people who are standing in the sun for more than 1 week on NSAS, can do the same during the election, we are going to elect the right set of people.
There is something I need to add. I love the passion with which you responded. But you do understand that the courts in the Federal Republic of Nigeria have obtained electoral victories. When they come before the judicial system, by the way, the judiciary has been on strike for 8 months for some time now in Nigeria. So it means that those who had cases pending, well, those cases will have to be revisited.
Absolutely.
In the absence of the rule of law, where certain individuals believe that they are bigger than the law, no nation can thrive.
You know, so like we mentioned initially about the true federalism and the kind of system of government we are practicing. One of the solace for the citizen is that same judiciary. And you see it's shut down for 8 months. You begin to ask the leaders, 8 weeks, the leaders you have in that place and all that, do they really care about the lives of people? Businesses that have been on load, losing revenue, that is going to also contribute to the nation in itself. If you have the right set of government, you don't allow your judiciary to go to sleep for 8 weeks. That is a lot. And you know, the Bible says that by their fruit you shall know them. You can already tell the kind of posture, the kind of agenda they are trying to push. Again, we need people. So I'm always talking to the young people. We have people in that capacity. If you ask them, do you still want to practice law? We have many lawyers who are doing other things because of frustration in the nation. You need to let them know there is a role to play. It's not just being the chairman or the councillor. We need people in civil society. We need people in their professions. We need businesses businesses coming from the young people that can help those young people to survive
We need
out of
people in the civil
hunger.
service.
We need people in technology that can provide solution into the electoral
The
system.
civil service.
Yeah, the civil
Do
service.
not forget the civil
You know, civil service are the most corrupt people now. They teach the politicians where to steal.
Mr. You don't make sweeping statements. Yes, Mr. Rivera.
You make a very valid point when you say that the value system of the young people is something that we have to address.
But do not forget that we have the National Orientation Agency
Yeah,
that is responsible for shaping.
responsible.
Who is leading that?
Responsible, but
Who is leading that? Who is leading that national orientation?
I was getting
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
I was getting there. You say that they are responsible, but they responsible. Leave that aside. My point here is, you say that the value system of young Nigerians is something that we need to address. But I want to highlight that people would, most of the time, people would only participate in an event that they think they have the power to influence, that they have influence over. You mentioned a particular show where people spend money, pay 30 naira for each vote for a particular candidate, and then they can see the impact, they can see who they are voting.
You can see the result.
It is very obvious, right? In the case of Nigeria, I mean, that always appears like I'm playing the devil's advocate, but let's bring the real issues to the table. Do Nigerians feel that they have the power to influence some of these elections? A lot of times, you know.
Most of those Nigerians don't vote.
And I'm getting somewhere with this. So if we know there are certain elections that we know we have the power to, check most of these councillorship elections, the ward election, the local government elections. They are one with how many votes? 10,000, 12,000, 19,000, or less. A member of the State House of Assembly gets into power with what? You have 10,000 votes, you are as good as elected. So you can see the low-hanging fruits.
Which many people are not
The
approaching.
low-hanging fruits are in our communities. And that's why it is also important to reiterate what we said earlier about regardless of what it takes, go and get your voters card.
Absolutely.
You might not be able to, like Femi Owemi said, you might not be able to influence what happens at the center in 2023, but you definitely have a say in what happens in your local community. With your own vote, with your mobilization efforts, getting everyone around you to go out there and vote. Get your 10,000 in your community, get the person who you know, who you are tested, who you are sure will do what he needs to do, what needs to be done. When you have more people like that, you know, it's a case of eventually in the legislature, when you check most of the time, it's always a game of numbers.
Yes.
They need to form a quorum for a lot of things to happen.
Yeah.
It's not just the 50-50. They need to form it. So if you have a lot more people who are on the right direction, forming those quorums, it will not be difficult to petition my lawmaker and tell him, we need you to sponsor this bill. This is why we're asking you to sponsor this bill. Because he's thinking the same direction as you are thinking. He'll be able to do it. But of course, he needs the support. He needs he needs quorum from his colleagues. If you don't have people like him in power, it will be difficult to pass a lot of these things. So from wherever you are in Nigeria, wherever you are, in your local community, have at the back of your mind that all you need is probably 12,000 or 15,000 or at most 20,000 to get the right people. You see, a lot of things would happen if we had the right people in the legislature. In Nigeria today, we have a legislature that does the will of the executive. What we know is what we know in government, in basic government, is that the legislature was set up as a check, to the executive.
Same as the judiciary.
To be honest, what we have right now is a legislature that has become part and parcel of the executive, that does only the biddings
So there's no independence.
There is absolutely no independence. So if we really want to effect change, you see, we talk about constitutional amendment. If we really want to effect even that constitutional amendment the way it should happen, it is with the right people in the legislature. And we need, like I said, only 20,000 people in most cases to get those people into the legislature.
Mr. I have heard you. Nigerians are hearing you. The office of the citizen of Nigeria needs to be amplified. Nigeria is dealing with a lot of challenges, from insecurity to the challenges with the ease of doing business, with agitations about ethnic recognition and nationality. We're in very much precarious times. But it is our expectation that this discourse today has highlighted the realities of what is possible. For those who are watching us and listening to us wherever you are in the world, the question some people will ask is, when is diaspora going to vote? When are we going to embrace technology for the advancement of this nation called Nigeria? I believe in a great nation. I believe we're exceptional people. That is the reason why when you find Nigerians all over the world doing exploits, we have survived 2 recessions within the last 6 years. We are primed to do awesome things. For those who have given up, I appeal to you, do not give up on this nation, because it's not over. My name is Abiodun Famuchiro. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who has been part of today's broadcast, from Olumide Ikunle to Femi Oyewumi. 2023 beckons on us. It is our expectation, my expectation, that it will usher in a new wave of leaders. Everything rises and falls on leadership, and that is one of the challenges that we are having as a nation. Are we demanding enough accountability from those who are leading us? Are we allowing our voices to be heard? Are we permitting the place of silence and fear to override us? We want Nigeria to be, as we have posited severally, remain the giant of Africa. Please, tonight when you go to bed, at any point in time, say a prayer for this nation. Light a candle. Talk to God and let Him know that Nigeria is in desperate need of prayer. Thank you very much for joining us in this broadcast. So we'll come your way. Believe in Nigeria. We have overcome. Bye for now.